Yeah, man. About to go get this $1,000 out for the fans, man. Really, I'm gonna take out 20,000, man. Just to show people, you feel me? I'm on a whole different level with this, man. I ain't, I take this serious, man. So you can't put me in the same category as the others, man.
September 2nd, 2012, 4:32 in the morning. A man walks up to an apartment building in Chicago. He's carrying a detergent bottle to look like he lives there. Security cameras catch him punching in the door code. He walks inside. In his pocket, a loaded gun. 14 minutes later, the same man walks out, but now he's wearing a different hoodie. He's moving fast. Running. Inside apartment, Yolanda Holmes is dead, shot in the head, stabbed multiple times. Her boyfriend Curtis Wyatt wakes up to find her covered in blood. He chases the killer down the hallway, but the man escapes. Police arrive at the scene. No forced entry, nothing stolen. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong. Someone wanted Yolanda dead. But who and why? Yolanda was a hard-working salon owner, a loving mother. She had no enemies. Everyone in the neighborhood knew her and respected her. Detectives start digging. They pull phone records. They check the security footage again and again. And what they find will shock you, because the person who ordered this hit, the person who paid to have Yolanda murdered, was someone she gave everything to, someone she loved more than life itself. Before we get into this heartbreaking story, I need to ask you something. Have you ever heard of a case where greed destroyed a family, where someone threw away everything for money? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. If you're new here, welcome to the channel where we cover real true crime cases that shake us to the core. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. And if you're already part of our community, show some love by hitting that like button. It really helps us bring you more cases like this one. Now, let's talk about Yolanda Holmes. Yolanda Holmes was 45 years old when she died. She lived in Chicago's Uptown neighborhood, where she owned a hair salon called Nappy Heads. It wasn't just a business, it was a place where people came to talk, laugh, and feel at home. Yolanda had a gift for making everyone feel welcome. Her clients loved her. Her neighbors respected her. She worked hard every single day to build something she could be proud of. But more than anything, Yolanda was a mother. She had one child, a son named Kowaman Wilson, and she gave him everything. As a single mother, Yolanda didn't have it easy, but she made sure her son never went without. She bought him designer clothes, expensive jewelry. She even gave him a customized Ford Mustang. Whatever he wanted, she found a way to get it for him. Yolanda was determined to keep her son away from the streets. Chicago could be dangerous, especially for young men. Gang life was everywhere. But Yolanda shielded Kowaman from all of that. She wanted better for him. She believed in him. Kowaman wanted to be a rapper. He went by the name Young QC. And even though his music career wasn't taking off, Yolanda supported him. She believed he would make it one day. She gave him a job at her salon so he could have money in his pocket. She encouraged him to keep going. She never gave up on him. At the time of her death, Yolanda was in a relationship with a man named Curtis Wyatt. They had their ups and downs, but Curtis cared about her. He was there with her the night she was killed. Yolanda wasn't just a mother, she was a protector, a provider, and a believer. She saw potential in her son that maybe no one else did. She sacrificed so much to give him opportunities she never had. She wanted him to succeed. She wanted him to be happy, and she trusted him completely. That trust would cost her everything. Because while Yolanda was working hard at her salon, while she was dreaming of her son's future, while she was giving him everything she had, Kowaman was planning something unthinkable. He was planning her murder. Kowaman Wilson was 23 years old in 2012. He was Yolanda's only child, her pride and joy, the center of her world. Kowaman had big dreams. He wanted to be a famous rapper. He performed under the name Young QC. He made music videos he posted on social media. He talked about making it big in the music industry. And his mother supported him every step of the way. Kowaman had everything most young men his age could only dream of. Designer clothes, expensive jewelry, a customized Ford Mustang. His mother gave him a job at her salon when he needed money. She paid his bills. She made sure he never struggled. But by 2012, Kowaman's rap career wasn't going anywhere. He wasn't getting famous. He wasn't making money from his music. He was out of work and frustrated. Later, prosecutors would describe him with one word: spoiled. Whatever Kowaman wanted, his mother gave him, but it still wasn't enough. He looked around and saw other rappers living the lifestyle he wanted, throwing money around, driving luxury cars, wearing the best clothes. And he wanted that life too. Kowaman started looking at his mother differently. He didn't just see the woman who raised him. He didn't just see the mother who sacrificed everything for him. He saw her bank accounts, her life insurance policies, her assets. He saw a way to get the life he wanted. Kowaman's mother loved him more than anything in the world. But for Kowaman, that love wasn't enough. He wanted more. He wanted it all. And he was willing to do the unthinkable to get it. What happened next would shock everyone who knew this family. Because Kowaman didn't just want his mother's money, he was ready to kill for it. Kowaman didn't want to get his hands dirty. So he came up with a plan. He would hire someone to kill his mother for him. He reached out to a friend named Eugene Spencer. Spencer was 22 years old. Kowaman offered him money to do the job. According to prosecutors, Kowaman promised Spencer $3,500 to murder Yolanda Holmes. But later, Spencer would claim he only received $70. Either way, Spencer agreed. Kowaman also brought in his girlfriend, Loriana Johnson. She was 23 years old. Her role was simple: drive Spencer to and from the apartment, be the getaway driver. Johnson said yes. Now Kowaman had his team, but he didn't stop there. He planned every detail. He gave Spencer the gun. He gave him clothes to wear. He even gave him a detergent bottle to carry. Why? So Spencer would look like a regular resident going into the building, someone doing laundry at 4:30 in the morning. Nobody would question it. Kowaman also gave Spencer the door code to get into his mother's apartment building. No breaking in, no forcing the door. Spencer would walk right in like he belonged there. This wasn't a crime of passion. This wasn't something that happened in the heat of the moment. This was premeditated, planned, paid for. Kowaman knew exactly what he was doing. He knew his mother would be asleep. He knew her boyfriend, Curtis Wyatt, would be there too. He didn't care. He wanted his mother dead, and he was willing to pay for it. September 2nd, 2012. 4:32 in the morning. Eugene Spencer approached Yolanda Holmes' apartment building on West Montrose Avenue. Security cameras caught everything. He walked up to the entrance carrying a detergent bottle. He punched in the door code Kowaman had given him. The door opened. He walked inside. In his pocket was a loaded gun. Inside the apartment, Yolanda was asleep in her bed. Curtis Wyatt, her boyfriend, was lying next to her. The apartment was quiet, peaceful. Neither of them knew what was about to happen. Spencer made his way to the apartment. He had his instructions, he had his weapon, and he had Kowaman on the phone. Spencer entered the bedroom. Yolanda was still asleep. He raised the gun and shot her in the head. The sound woke Curtis immediately. But Spencer wasn't done. Following Kowaman's orders, he pulled out a knife and stabbed Yolanda multiple times. On the other end of the phone, Kowaman gave one final instruction: make sure that bitch is dead. Curtis jumped out of bed. He saw Spencer standing over Yolanda. He saw the blood. He saw the knife. Curtis lunged at Spencer, trying to stop him. But Spencer ran. Curtis chased him down the hallway, out of the apartment, trying to catch him. But Spencer was too fast. He disappeared into the early morning darkness. Curtis ran back to the apartment. Yolanda was covered in blood. The bed was soaked. He called 911, his voice shaking, barely able to get the words out. When police arrived, the scene was horrific. Yolanda had been shot in the temple. She had been stabbed multiple times. There was blood everywhere. The violence was extreme. Whoever did this wanted to make sure she was dead. Curtis was in shock. He told police what he saw: a man in the bedroom, the attack, the chase. But police had to consider every possibility. Curtis had been in the apartment. He had been in the bed next to Yolanda. Could he have done this? They questioned him for hours. They gave him a lie detector test. He passed. Curtis wasn't the killer. He was just a man who woke up to a nightmare. So who did this, and why? There was no forced entry. Nothing was stolen. This wasn't a robbery. Someone wanted Yolanda Holmes dead. Someone planned this. In those 14 minutes, Yolanda's life was stolen. Not by a stranger, not by an enemy, but by someone acting on orders from her own son. The son she loved, the son she gave everything to, the son she would have died for, and in the end, she did. I know this is hard to hear. Cases like this remind us how fragile life can be, and how greed can destroy everything. What do you think should happen to someone who kills their own mother? Should they ever be eligible for parole? Let me know in the comments. And if you're finding this case as shocking as I am, please share this video. Stories like Yolanda's deserve to be heard. Her life mattered. Her memory matters. Now let's talk about how police caught the people responsible for her death. After Curtis Wyatt was cleared, detectives started looking deeper. They pulled the security footage from Yolanda's apartment building. They watched it over and over. A man entered at 4:32 a.m. 14 minutes later, he left wearing a different hoodie. Curtis identified the man in a police lineup. His name was Eugene Spencer, but Spencer didn't act alone. Detectives knew someone else was involved. They pulled phone records. And that's when everything came together. The records showed constant communication between three people: Eugene Spencer, Loriana Johnson, and Kowaman Wilson, Yolanda's son. The most damning evidence? Kowaman was on the phone with Spencer during the murder. He was listening, giving instructions, making sure his mother was dead. Then detectives looked at Yolanda's bank accounts. After her death, someone had withdrawn between $70,000 and $90,000. That someone was Kowaman. He also cashed in 2 of her life insurance policies. But Kowaman didn't try to hide the money. He flaunted it. On social media, Kowaman posted videos of himself throwing cash to crowds. He showed off luxury cars, designer clothes, expensive puppies. He was living the life he always wanted. And he was doing it with his dead mother's money. While police were building their case, Kowaman was posting videos online like nothing happened. The arrogance was unbelievable. On December 24, 2013, Christmas Eve, police arrested Kowaman Wilson, Eugene Spencer, and Loriana Johnson. All 3 were charged with murder and home invasion. They were held without bail at Cook County Jail. The news hit the family hard. Some relatives couldn't believe it. Others were furious. At one of Kowaman's early court hearings, a cousin walked into the courtroom. She screamed at him, "You're going to hell, Kowaman!" Court officers removed her from the building immediately. The family was torn apart. Zion Banks, Yolanda's cousin and family spokeswoman, spoke to reporters. She said, "We all loved Yolanda. We all love Kowaman. How do we move forward?" Some family members supported Kowaman. Others turned their backs on him completely. The pain was unbearable. Yolanda was gone. And the person responsible was her own son. Loriana Johnson's grandmother, Sadie Johnson, defended her granddaughter. She said Loriana didn't know what was happening and that Spencer and Kowaman tied her up in the plot. But the evidence told a different story. All 3 were involved. And now, they would face justice. The trial took years to reach court, but in March 2020, Kowaman Wilson and Eugene Spencer finally faced a jury. Prosecutors laid out the entire case. They presented phone records showing Kowaman was in constant contact with Spencer and Johnson before the murder. They showed that Kowaman was on the phone with Spencer during the attack, giving him instructions to make sure Yolanda was dead. They presented bank records proving Kowaman withdrew tens of thousands of dollars from his mother's accounts after her death. He cashed in her life insurance policies. He took everything she had. But one of the most powerful pieces of evidence was a video. Prosecutors played it for the jury. It showed Kowaman throwing money to a crowd, flaunting his wealth, living large, all with his dead mother's money. The jury watched in silence. Eugene Spencer testified during the trial. He admitted to killing Yolanda Holmes, but he said Kowaman hired him to do it. Kowaman gave him the gun, Kowaman gave him the clothes, Kowaman gave him the door code, and Kowaman was on the phone telling him to make sure she was dead. Spencer said Kowaman promised him $3,500 for the job, but Spencer claimed he only received $70. Loriana Johnson took a different path. She accepted a plea deal. She pleaded guilty to robbery and was sentenced to 7 years in prison. She served her time and was released on parole. But Kowaman and Spencer went to trial, and the jury didn't take long to decide. Both men were found guilty of first-degree murder. In March 2020, they stood before Judge Stanley Sachs for sentencing. Judge Sachs didn't hold back. He looked directly at Kowaman and said, "The word is matricide, meaning murder of one's own mother. Whatever he wanted, his mother gave to him. A car, a job. One could say he was spoiled. She gave Kowaman life, and it was his choice to take it away from her." The courtroom was silent. Judge Sachs sentenced Eugene Spencer to 100 years in prison. Then he turned to Kowaman Wilson. He sentenced him to 99 years in prison. Kowaman showed little emotion. He stood there, expressionless. When the judge asked if he had anything to say, Kowaman finally spoke. "I just want to say, nobody loved my mother more than me. She was all I had." That was it. No apology, no remorse, just a hollow statement that rang empty in the courtroom. Family members sat in the gallery, some crying, some angry, some just numb. The pain was overwhelming. Zion Banks, Yolanda's cousin, spoke to reporters after the sentencing. She said, "We all loved Yolanda, we all love Kowaman. How do we move forward?" It was a question no one could answer. The family was split. Some believed Kowaman deserved what he got. Others still struggled to accept that he could do something so horrible. Kowaman Wilson will spend the rest of his life in prison. Eugene Spencer will die behind bars. And Yolanda Holmes will never come back. Justice was served. But for the family, the pain will never go away. Yolanda Holmes left a hole in her community that could never be filled. Her salon, Nappy Heads, had been more than just a business. It was a place where people gathered, where they felt welcome, where Yolanda made everyone feel like family. Now she was gone, and the neighborhood mourned. But the deepest pain was felt by her family. They were torn apart. Some relatives couldn't forgive Kowaman. Others still loved him, even though they knew what he did. The conflict was unbearable. Zion Banks, Yolanda's cousin, tried to hold the family together. But how do you move forward when the person who killed your loved one is also your loved one? Even people outside the family were affected. The woman who dated Kowaman after his mother's death had no idea what he had done. She thought he was nice, funny, fun to be around. He rarely talked about his mother. The only time he mentioned her was when his girlfriend asked to meet his mom. That's when Kowaman lied. He said his mother had been killed in a robbery. His girlfriend noticed something, though. She often caught him staring off into space, deep in thought. She told her friends, "There's always something on his mind." Now she knows what was on his mind. The murder, the lies, the guilt. Loriana Johnson's family also struggled. Her grandmother, Sadie Johnson, insisted that Loriana didn't know what was happening. She said Spencer and Kowaman tied her up in the plot. But Loriana still went to prison. She still played a role. The psychological toll on everyone involved was massive. Curtis Wyatt woke up to a nightmare he'll never forget. Family members lost someone they loved twice, once to death, once to betrayal. And Yolanda? She's just a memory now. A woman who loved too much. A mother who gave everything and paid the ultimate price. Cases like this are rare, but they teach us important lessons. First, watch for warning signs. If a family member suddenly becomes obsessed with money or assets, pay attention. If they ask unusual questions about bank accounts or life insurance, that's a red flag. Second, entitlement is dangerous. Giving children everything they want without teaching responsibility can create problems. Love doesn't mean saying yes to everything. Healthy boundaries matter. Third, monitor financial activity. If someone close to you dies, keep an eye on their accounts. Banks can flag unusual withdrawals. Families can set up trusts or name multiple people to oversee assets. Fourth, mental health matters. Greed, frustration, and anger can build up. Therapy and counseling can help people deal with these feelings before they turn into something worse. Fifth, stay connected. Isolation makes people vulnerable. Strong family ties and community relationships create safety nets. When people feel supported, they're less likely to make terrible choices. Sixth, talk about consequences. Young people need to understand that actions have real results. Crime doesn't pay. Murder destroys lives, including your own. Finally, support survivors. Families like Yolanda's need help after tragedies. Counseling, support groups, and community resources can make a difference. Yolanda Holmes loved her son unconditionally. But love alone isn't always enough. Balance, boundaries, and awareness matter too. If this case teaches us anything, it's this. Pay attention to the people you love. Watch for warning signs. And never take family for granted, because once someone is gone, they're gone forever. Yolanda Holmes gave her son everything. Her love, her money, her life. And in return, he took the one thing she could never get back. This case shook Chicago and the entire country. It reminds us that evil can come from the most unexpected places, even from family. Now I want to hear from you. What state or country are you watching from? Have cases like this happened in your area? Let's talk about it in the comments below. If this story moved you, please hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Yolanda's story deserves to be told. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We cover real, true crime cases that matter, cases that make us think, cases that remind us to stay aware. Remember Yolanda Holmes, not just as a victim, but as a mother who loved unconditionally, a woman who worked hard, a woman who believed in her son until the very end. May her story serve as a reminder to cherish the people who love us, to never take family for granted, and to recognize the warning signs before it's too late. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.